Turkey's lucrative tourism industry all but dried up when the coronavirus pandemic hit earlier this year. But now, as the busy summer season approaches, businesses are making tough decisions to save livelihoods while safeguarding public health. The global tourism industry, which makes up about 10% of the world's GDP, has come to a standstill as almost all flights were grounded and hotels closed to contain the outbreak. Tourism-dependent countries like Spain and Italy have been especially hard hit. But now, many are slowly trying to lure back visitors with promises of strict safety measures. Locals are already heading to the beach in Europe and the US, and the hospitality industry is hoping international travelers will soon follow. After being locked down for several weeks, Turkey is also starting to revive its $30 billion tourism sector. International patients seeking medical treatment are flying into Turkey, and restaurants, cafes, and beaches are reopening. Domestic flights are set to resume in June. But will new safety measures be enough to bring travelers back? And how are countries that have opened their tourism industries faring so far? And joining me from Istanbul is Emin Cakmak, the founding chairman of the Turkish Healthcare Travel Council. Also in Istanbul, we have Sinan Koseoglu, a multi-property general manager for JW Marriott and Sheraton here in Turkey. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. Sinan, let me begin with you. Are Turkey's historic sites, beaches, and the most visited cities are safe to visit? In short, are we opening up safely?
Yes, I can say that we are opening up safely because there is a huge the work behind, I can say. And the government took the millions of precautions and then acts. And besides this, there is the hotel associations and the hotel chains itself as well. They took the very serious the precautions and the actions. And therefore, I can say that we are getting ready, and then normally we are looking for the welcoming the guests as well. And the most important thing is that you can see the daily patients and plus the death percentages, which is very normally safe, and plus we can give the positive impact and the message to the world with that.
Okay.
That's the most important.
Yes, having mentioned the precautions, I mean, what is Turkey doing differently to get tourists interested in coming back? Tell us about the general measures taken so far.
Well, the most important action has been taken by the Ministry of Tourism and Culture. They have created a new criteria for new arrivals of tourists from abroad and from Turkey. They has been made this declaration so far 2 weeks ago, and all hoteliers and all hospitality services started preparing themselves according to the new instruction and new certification which been announced by Ministry of Tourism and Culture. We are one of the first country are taking this kind of action by the ministerial and government level and trying to apply all tourist destination that we can able to start up quickly as possible, because we are starting and opening our borders slowly, according to our bilateral agreement with some countries. I believe that from 15th of June, we will be ready to receive some international tourists, but nevertheless, we already start the medical travelers.
Yes.
Since 2020 May.
Yes, I'm going to get into that later. But Sinan, let me go through the details for the hotels. As Emin just mentioned, the Tourism and Culture Ministry has just recently issued a hygiene notice to inform the hotels about the COVID-19. Could you tell us about the details? How are you planning to handle this process, which will, in terms of arrivals, be much slower than the previous seasons, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, this COVID is having an extraordinary impact on the hotel industry. It's that's clear that we will have the much reduced number of tourists, and traffic will be happening in Istanbul and Turkey, I can say, like the other part of the world as well. So therefore, for us, the most important thing is the first priority is the safety and well-being of all our guests, and same time the employees as well, and because that goes hand to hand together. So we move quickly to implement the necessary precautions, which is coming from the government ministry, and plus our brand as well. So that's why we consider that now things are changing, and plus the expectation of the guest also is changing. So therefore, what we implemented is basically to hospital level sanitization and cleaning, and plus we are giving basically this HACCP and plus food and beverage, the production areas, food control.
So wouldn't
points.
all these measures be more costly?
Well, it will be, yes, it will be costly, and for us there will be more in terms of manning, in terms of the perishable items, or using the much more disinfectants and etc. So that's why there will be a more cost in the behind.
Okay, so Emin, Turkey also introduced criteria for health and hygiene for airlines, airports, and other transport. So how hard and different it would be for the tourism industry, which relies on airlines to function with social distancing restrictions now?
Well, according to Turkish Airlines chairman declaration and the general manager of Turkish Airlines declaration, I have follow up. They are bringing new rules and number of passenger in the aircrafts. Obviously, before it was an advantage to carry as much as possible, and big number and wide body flights mostly preferred by the airlines company to make more profit rather than flying with narrow body. But today's all wide body aircrafts going to be used for maybe 2/3 of their capacity, and to keep one empty seats in between three seats actually, to keep the distance.
Yes, but I also hear that testing centers were being set up at airports. So those guests who come without having been tested in the last 72 hours will be tested at the airports. What I wonder is how it would be possible to trace those people who tested positive, and how do you keep the track of them?
Well, I think, as you can see in my hand, it's mentioned that PCR tested and negative. So they're going to be kind of new installment, a new instrument, and new tools people could purchase from the hospitals or from the institution, that they are already been tested by certification or by any digital document to prove that they are already tested and approved by negative result, or there will be a quick test in the airport. Who has no test before, they can be tested in the aircraft in a quick test, and they can have the measurement of the temperature, and they will check the symptoms.
All right.
And I'm sure there will be some security gates, and all will be done quickly and
accordingly.
quick as possible. Yeah, accordingly.
All right, Sinan, talk to us about foreign tourists' motivation for visiting Turkey. Do they tend to delay rather than canceling their early bookings? And how do you address tourists' concerns about the pandemic?
Well, the pandemic is a big question mark for everybody, because normally they want to feel safe naturally, and then let's start with the airlines and the question mark how they will fly and how they will land, and then how the hotels will take care. But there is the couple of polls I saw that that gives the mainly 50-50 currently the results. But I'm sure that once they will start to open up the places, which is I heard it today, Spain is opening up their basically to touristic areas for the arrivals.
Yes.
And then it follows Greece and etc. So that will give us, basically the lead that we will be the country that it will be the basically the choice for the tourist as well.
All right.
And I'm sure they will delay currently, because I'm receiving also for the hotels, our clients. They said that, okay, can we move to our bookings from June to August? It means that at least 50% we have a hope.
Are thinking of visiting Turkey. So, Emin, where does Turkey stand when it comes to health tourism, and what does it offer in the midst of this pandemic?
Well, we were very lucky actually as a country, because we had our latest technology of hospitals and art of states. We were serving over 1 million patients from 165 countries previous years. And we were totally ready in terms of healthcare staffs, healthcare investments. And now the Turkish government and Turkish president has taken a quick decision to open up the borders to our neighbor, because we start receiving a lot of inquiries, and emergency cases need to be evacuated to Turkey to start their treatment, oncology, transplantology, and many heavy cases. So for this reason, we open up our gates 20 May to all world citizens, that they can come and treat it in our hospital, because we have enough capacity and enough capability to serve Turkish citizens plus international patients. Due to our latest 5-6 years ago, we start investing our city hospitals.
All right, gentlemen, I'm afraid we're out of time, but it seems tourists will eventually flock back with masks, sanitizers, and maybe a bit of anxiety, but it seems that Turkey is opening up safely. Thank you very much for joining us.